And I think as a parent, our role is very much as, the guideline, the guidance of parents. Not that we are making choices for them or controlling what they want to do or not, but actually being the support system at home.
Right.
And being able with our experience to share our own stories. I think parents sometimes we fail to share our own journey with our children and where we made some mistakes and good ones, and probably they could learn from that. And yes, and how do I put it? Just being there.
And we are back again. This is the AOU podcast, Entrepreneurial Leadership in Africa. I'm your host, Savannah Olo, and today's guest happens to be a parent of a graduating student. We've talked about several things on this podcast over the past few weeks, and today we're going to highlight raising an entrepreneurial leader. So, I'd like my guest to introduce herself and probably just tell us a bit about what she's about and what entrepreneurial leadership means to her. Welcome.
Wow, thank you so much for having me. My name is Surama King, and everyone call me Mama Sue. I'm everyone's mother. Yeah, well, I'm the mother of David King, and he's been here for the past 3.5 years, and it's a great joy for us as a parent to be able to be here today and to celebrate with him his achievements here at the Africa Leadership College. So, well, how can I answer this? I think I'm going to go back to about maybe 15 years ago.
Wow.
Back in Ghana. I'm Brazilian,
Okay.
anyway, yes. My husband is Ghanaian, and we moved to Ghana 18 and a half years ago with our 3 kids, Albert, David being the second born, and Sarah. Those days when we moved to Ghana, I could not speak English at all. So being a Brazilian, and the best way for me to really support my husband was to do what I knew best, to use my hands and to do something with my art to generate money. So I had a studio at the garage where I used to make these beautiful sculptures with wax.
Okay.
And I used to make candles. So one day, David was just sitting there, our son David, who just graduated, and he started playing with those candles. And then he used shoe polish to paint those holes he made it.
Okay.
Yes, David was always growing up a very curious child, and David loved to make money. That was something very natural to him. So you find him in my studio, touching the tools and asking so many questions, and and what fascinated him most was seeing mommy making different things in that studio or in the kitchen, wherever else I found myself, because I could not work in education at the time because I didn't speak English.
Okay.
So I was working at home, and he was constantly helping. Not knowing, actually, David found a way through his playing with the wax. I realized I could draw on the wax and paint with the shoe polish. And that became something else, and Africanus was born at the time.
Right.
And seeing mommy always doing things and making money, David too was like, maybe in class 1, 2. He came home and he said, Mom, I can sell chocomilo in school, chocomilo. And my friends always forget their erasers and their pencils. So David would go and buy those things in the market with me and bring to school to sell, and he'll calculate his profit and everything. So when David growing in primary school, he was like, Mama, when I grow up, I'm going to own a bank. And by the age of 30, I'll have a bank. So I believe that was born in David. I could realize in David those highlights of entrepreneurs, somebody who wants to do something by himself and create jobs and make his own money and so on. And fast forward years now, after that, I found David in Africa Leadership University having his business. I think it's something great here where you give the students the platform to start something, to try different things. And
Right.
David had the opportunity, and their bank started. And and I think we have a lot of stories to tell from that. And as a parent, I think it's just observing, allowing our children to try. At home, as they're playing, as they're talking to you, and We're very busy these days, but it would be so good if parents really take the time to listen, to watch the kids, and to allow them to try different things, as they grow up.
So you've highlighted that he's always had the entrepreneurial spirit within him.
Yes.
So maybe you can tell us more about how you heard about ALU and what the experience has been like bringing your child here.
Wow. It's something so interesting when it's quite emotional to talk about ALU. Back in 2010, 11, 12, 13, when I used to visit African Leadership Academy in South Africa, in Johannesburg.
Right.
It's a place I love so, so much. And I have very good friends who worked in African Leadership Academy till today. So on my way to Brazil for holiday, I always stop by a week or two. And I remember those days talking to Theodore and others, and there was this whole conversation around this university. And I was like, goodness, you have just started this, and then now you're thinking about a university.
Something bigger, right?
And we used to chat at Mr. Jampo's house about the very, very foundation, what it was, the whole idea behind, how to, because African Leadership Academy, it's just something incredible. And going there with the kids and having the opportunity to experience all that in terms of leadership and entrepreneurship also. We were like, goodness, I cannot believe you're going to grow this vision bigger and get to university. So in those days was just the conversation in that hall.
So you've been with us from
everyone.
The start.
Very beginning. It was just that, just that vision where everyone was talking with this whole buzz about the university.
Right.
And David in high school, I'm an educator at Tema International School.
Right.
And I'm very much into service learning and entrepreneurship and developing skills. That's my focus. And having my children in Tema International School in Ghana, we were like, what would be the best university for David, especially David who, apart from being very strong academically, we would love a place for him to really develop those skills we could see from as he was growing up. And I was very much aware what was happening in Mauritius, and we're like, why not? And again, another holiday to South Africa in Joburg, and the conversation just got, more. Everything was just coming
together.
Yes, together. And David was like, yes, Mama, my dream was to go to ALA. We didn't make to ALA, but I think I can make to ALU. And, I think we're already inside. And it was just a transition. And David applied to other universities in the US and other places, but this seems to have been the right place for him. And interestingly, David wanted to do law.
Oh, okay.
And he actually got into law school in Lagos University and other places, but was like, no, I think he's young, he was just 19, let's do this, let's try this. And I think it was the best decision we could ever take for our son, yeah.
That's amazing. You don't hear that every day, to hear that parents have been a part of the AOU community from the beginning, from inception. So maybe we can talk about raising an entrepreneurial leader, which is the main focus for today's topic. So obviously you've mentioned that David has had very entrepreneurial spirits within him, and he's, built that culture within your household, and you've encouraged your children. From what it looks like, you've been very supportive of your children's dreams. So what would you say are some of the challenges that you've experienced raising an entrepreneurial leader? Maybe you can mention 3.
Oh, wow. I think, first of all, we are this generation, are you the millennials or you are? I think you are a generation of young people who want everything now. You want I don't even think it's now. You want it yesterday. So it's this fast world you're living in. And David he's a young, intelligent, young man who want everything, on the go. And that, I think, was one challenge. The not allowing, it's difficult, I think, for this generation to see things maturing and growing. There's a process you need to go through. And sometimes they want to jump those processes.
Right.
And back again, I think choosing a African Leadership University and the model you work in here, having these children in different internships, I think that one have allowed David to kind of slow down, make some mistakes along the line, and realize that he needs to really, understand the process is very important. And I think as a parent, our role is very much as, the guideline, the guidance of parents. Not that we are making choices for them or controlling what they want to do or not, but actually being the support system at home.
Right.
And being able, with our experience, to share our own stories. I think parents, sometimes we fail to share our own journey with our children, and where we made some mistakes and good ones, and probably they could learn from that. And yes, and how do I put it? Just being there. So you asked me for the 3 challenges. Okay,
Right.
I think 1 is they want everything right now. Secondly, they're very impulsive and impatient, which is very much in line with that. And third, yes, allowing the process to unfold. I think that's another one.
Okay, so if those are the main challenges that you've been experiencing, what are some of the ways you've instilled the knowledge of the relevance of entrepreneurial leadership while raising an entrepreneurial leader?
I think it's back to the whys.
Right.
We constantly, we talk a lot at home.
Right.
We're a family of 5, my husband, myself, Albert, David, and Sarah. And we talk, we share our own experiences. And there's constant conversations about what it is, why. So why are you doing what you're doing? And I think if we constantly remind ourselves the reason why we do what we do, it kind of reconnect us to the purpose. And it keeps you focused. And I believe the outcome of that is close to what you have, dream or you are looking for. I think it's very important as a family to constantly host those conversations and allow them.
So you spoke about David wanting to do law and pursue something more with more of a traditional perspective or
Yes.
meaningful in to a certain extent. So can you use this to emphasize the missions and not majors concept that ALU has brought about?
Yeah, I think what happens here for the past 3.5 years have been an incredible foundation for David.
Right.
Even the way David talks about he perceived law right now is totally different than the way he perceived law 3.5 years ago.
Right.
And I believe the foundation is there. He understands very much the role he can play in the entire continent, not only in Ghana, but the entire continent and what he can do. And I believe that is giving him a different perspective in terms of law and what he can do with that. And you mentioned that repeat again, no majors and?
Pick your mission, not your major.
Yeah, I think again it's back to the why. He's very clear about the impact he wants to make. Right. So now probably with this foundation, he's more mature to transition into wanting to do international law, or there's a name, I forgot right now what he told me, Mama, I can do this with what I did in ALU and doing my master's in law. So I forgot the name, but it's something great.
Around it.
you hear about David, trust me, you will.
Right. So far, so good. So maybe you can give the parents that are listening out there, or just generally the audience, maybe 5 steps or 5 things that you need to recognize when raising an entrepreneurial leader, or any advice that you may have while raising an entrepreneurial leader.
Well, I'm going to make this very simple. Don't be afraid of mistakes. Especially being a Brazilian, where we are in a culture where I believe we're more daring. We are constantly trying. When I think about my upbringing and myself at home.
Right.
But moving to Ghana and understanding how the culture is, we're self-conscious all the time. And I don't think it's only Ghana even. We have the opportunity to also know people from across the continent, and we're very self-conscious about making mistakes. And without those mistakes, without trying, it's very difficult for us to really achieve something incredible. And entrepreneurship and even leadership without taking those steps, without doing things at different levels. And leaders is not only when you finish school or leaders when you are into politics. You are a leader in primary school. You are a leader, identify, allow your child to lead, even at home. There's so many opportunities. Create them. And don't be afraid to make those mistakes. And I think they'll lead us to something incredible. And yes, so
Maybe
I
you
think
can give us
it.
two more.
Two more. I think paying attention.
Right.
Yes, and I think conversations. Sharing your stories as parents, and also allowing them to come back to us and to share their stories, the successful ones and those ones which probably are not so successful, where they try something and it didn't work, and and how do we make a successful story out of that? And I think this is a family support system is something nothing, not even money can't ever, surpass. It's very important, family support. Yes.
So from what we've gotten so far, correct me if I'm wrong, the main thing about raising an entrepreneurial leader is having open channels of communication between you and your child.
Yes.
That's a major thing, as well as having a good support system to be able to bounce back or sort of fall back on and, get up on your feet once again.
Yes.
So it's been the AOU podcast. We have been talking about raising entrepreneur leaders. My name is Savannah Olo. Our guest today was Mama Sue. Thank you for being with us so much.
Thank you.
We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.